It's really nice to be connecting and being able to share this information. It has come from many attempts myself of trying to work with the chakras, and then, of course, evolving and understanding and experiencing these energies through each chakra. And so in a meditation, we'll be able to connect to the chakras, but first we want to talk through a little bit of the pain, the fascia, and then we'll go into the chakras. If we're here today, we understand we have some sort of body pain, some sort of body discomfort. And all of you have written down on your registration what your pain is. So I want you to just take that into account mentally or out loud to yourself. What is your pain? Where is it? Where are you feeling your pain? Take that moment to just connect with your body, because this workshop's all about going back within and connecting with your body. And don't need to ask any more questions, just let's go one step at a time. That little awareness of connection is enough for us to get started. But now I'd like us to set an intention. Let's set an intention now. What is it that we want to understand about our pain? What is it are we willing to do to understand our pain? Are we willing to go deep into areas and parts of ourselves that have been hidden for a while, that have been hiding, that have been blocked, that have been forgotten, that perhaps we don't want to look at, that perhaps that we put it behind and don't want to recall? Are we willing to go deep within ourselves? And if you say yes, that's brilliant. This is what the chakras information are going to bring us. If you're still not sure, I want you to reassure you that we're here in a safe space. We're here to do titration process, which means one little step at a time. You only go as far as you want. You only go as deep as you want. Nothing's going to force you to go any deeper. No energy in this space is going to force you to feel any more than what you're ready to feel. Your subconscious know what you're capable of feeling, and you will work to that threshold. If you want to work below that threshold, it's absolutely fine. You set the intention right now. And that's a powerful intention setting for what we're about to experience. So that's great. So welcome, everyone. My name is Roberta. I am a physiotherapist, but also very intuitive physiotherapist. I work with energy healing, and I have a few years of experience working with chakra rebalancing, inner child therapies, and also even past life regression. However, it's not something that I bring very forward into physiotherapy, but I like to fuse a few of these aspects, because when we're talking about pain, we're talking about all aspects of ourselves. You are probably going through the medical field and having investigations, having scans, having diagnoses, having prescriptions, and that's all fine. That's all needed. The physical body needs that. But sometimes what gets lost is how are we dealing with pain, how we're seeing pain, how we're managing with pain, how we are understanding our pain. How are we feeling our pain? So we're talking about our mental capacity, our emotional capacity, our energetic capacity, and that's what the chakras are going to bring. If you have been through therapies and have spoken and talked about your pain, you understand that we have repetitive patterns that we experience ourselves in our lives, things that happen very often, things that happen the same way all the time, things that we are reliving in a cyclical or repetitive patterns. Those are the places that we need to bring our awareness. And how do we bring our awareness? And the way that I'm going to explore here with you today is through our physical body. How are we feeling those patterns, those repetitive moments with a situation, with a relationship, with a job, with a family, with ourselves? How are we feeling? This is the time in the moment to get the awareness within your body, because your pain is going to bring you information, right? The pain is here to bring you information about, are you happy with that? Are you agreeing with that at soul level? Are you agreeing with that at physical level? Are you agreeing with that emotional level and mental level? So there is a lot to unpack, but like I said, we're going to go in little steps, and you only go as deep as you like. I could talk forever about subjects like this, and I could have a workshop every day about and expand and expand and expand. But today we're going to keep it short and simple. But I do want to bring information about the fascia. So today we're going to explore a little bit of the fascia, how it affects the nervous system, how it not necessarily affects the chakra, but how the chakra relates to all this information that the physical body is experiencing, and the pain, and how we can make eventually new choices to make changes to what's happening within the physical body. So I want you to write a couple of questions in your notebook. If you brought a notebook and pen, we're going to do some journaling later on. But you can start writing at any time. So what really brought you here today? Just a couple of words, maybe a sentence, for you to make it that very clear, so we can start building a pathway here as we're working through the layers of the energy field. And what would you like to understand differently about your pain? And leave it as that, okay? Try not to go deep into it, because we're going to go in little steps. Every time there's a question that I'm going to throw at you, we're going to go deeper anyway. So try to keep it simple, so that what we're trying to do here, if we're going to work with the chakras, I don't want the crown chakra, which is the mental activity, to be overriding everything else in the body, the emotions, the sensations, um, the emotion, the fascia. I want the mind not to be so overactive and taking over. So let's keep it very simple, all the little questions. And also that keeps our nervous system capacity regulated. Yeah. So if we are one of those that overthink, or one of those that overfeel, or we want to keep everything balanced as we go along. And this is a way of balancing our chakra, being aware of this equilibrium that we are creating. So keep it nice and short. And if anything that I say from now on, I'm going to talk about the fascia, the nervous system. Just make notes, little notes, a couple of words, nothing too in depth, because every part that you add, you are getting deeper and deeper. So the fascia. What is the fascia? If you don't know what the fascia is, it's a good place to come. I'm going to summarize and make it very simple. So let's look at chicken breast. You have a raw piece of chicken breast in front of you, and you're about to cook it. And you're probably going to remember as it described. So you have the chicken breast, so you have the muscle, and on top of the chicken breast, there's a thin layer of a sheath, very thin layer that covers the muscle. Yeah, it connects to the edges of the chicken breast with a little whitish tissue. And then on top of that would have been the skin of the chicken. Yeah. So the connective tissue surrounding the muscles and the organs are the fascia. That is the fascia in our body. It's there underneath the skin. It's there above the muscle. And that fascia has its own movement within the skin and the muscles. So if you think the fascia is the middle layer, this is the muscle layer, and that's the skin layer. It moves independently from the skin, and it moves independently from the muscles. And the only reason is there is for sensation, tactile, touch, tension, all this sensory information that we get from movement will come from the fascia as well. So a muscle, when it contracts, should not be giving information to the fascia to contract. And when a muscle contracts, it should not be giving information to the skin necessarily to contract. The movement itself causes a lot of movement in the body, but it's not direct communication. They're all independently of each other. And when we have movement, we have what we call in physiotherapy, very simple terms, normal movement pattern, and we have abnormal movement pattern. Normal movement pattern is the movement that you created from the moment you were born, when you're lying on your back, when you're lying on your tummy, when you start sitting up, when you start crawling, when you start walking, when you start reaching, climbing. Those are all normal movement patterns that you learn growing up. You learn stages, but they're all normal. The way you walk, the way you step, the way you push with your toe on your stride. The abnormal movement pattern is when you have an injury, is when you compensate for a reason, for a body language, and I'll explain body language in a second. When you compensate from an injury, and also when you compensate from movements that you do repetitive in your life through the day. And it could even be static postures that you do repetitively in your life through the day. So sitting. Yeah, we sit to eat, drive, work, study. Again, that's a static posture. And the way we sit, if we lean, those muscles decide that we lean, we're going to become shorter and more tensed. That becomes an abnormal pattern. Body language. I had a body language that created a tension in my body. As I was a teenager, I wanted to hide the growth of my bust because I wasn't ready for it, I don't think. So my shoulders went forward and I curled over to hide the volume in front of me. And I grew up with that posture, leaning forward, chin forward, so I was in that position the whole time. Yeah. And that was my body language. So through my body language, I created a lot of tension at the front and no tension at the back. So my posture was going forward and forward and forward and forward over decades. And the fascia is also the place where pain signals travel through, because the nerves are communicating to the fascia, the skin and the muscles and the bones and the fluids. So when we talk about arthritis and inflammation in the joint, fluid bursa, everything's connected through the fascia. So when we have an abnormal pattern, a muscle then, what I call it, inherit an expiration date of how far it can work in that abnormal pattern, which means that at one point it will switch off and another muscle has to kick in to compensate. That switching off causes a flare-up of some problem in our body. Yeah, a new injury. It causes a new set of pain. Let's say if you always have knee pain, eventually 10 years, 20 years down the line, you have hip pain. Yeah, because it's moving throughout the body, the compensation. So other layers are being recruited to keep you moving, to keep you going. So when those flare-ups happen, when those moments happen, when the muscle loses its expiration date, you will experience pain because the muscle is not doing what it's supposed to do normally. It's doing something else. It's being stressed. It's tensed. The nervous system already then is engaging with all of this abnormal pattern. And the nervous system is creating new pathways. The abnormal pathways are for that muscle as well. And that's what we call it muscle memory. Okay. So in scar tissue, when that fascia is damaged through either a cut through the skin through the fascia to the muscle, a muscle that tear and the fibers recoil inside the body, a fracture, or even a abnormal pattern, the fascia will tense up inside. So if you remember the chicken breast, imagine that sheath all tensed up and ripped and recoiled and not smooth. That's what a fascia would do in certain parts of the body. But if it does in any part of the body, and I'm talking about even this smaller section, just like a paper cut, it starts pulling tension all the way around the body. And this is where we enter a little bit of perhaps fibromyalgia, widespread pain, and all the pain, complex issues that some people can experience, but not just because of the fascia, because the fascia also gets information from the nervous system. The nervous system gets information from your emotional state. The nervous system gets information from your mental state. And all of that is fed into your energetic state. Because we do have 7 energy points and we have an energetic body. Okay. So the key message so far is the body adapts. And sometimes the adaptation remains long after the original problem has dissolved, healed, fixed, gone. And when I say gone, because the situation could have been gone, but we're still reliving the nervous system of that situation. Okay. And this is why there's a lot of talk about people talking about your emotions. You got to release it from your nervous system. The traumas, you got to release it from your fascia and nervous system. Everything that happened to us from the moment we're born, even the shock trauma of birth, to today, is imprinted in the muscles, in the nervous system, in the fascia, in the nerves, in the blood, in every aspect of ourselves, the emotional side, the mental aspect of us. We wouldn't be able to have emotions if we didn't think. We wouldn't be able to have emotions if we didn't have a brain to create ideas about the world and ourselves, even judgment about ourselves, right? So the moment we think is the moment the body is alive and able to sense and feel everything. Unfortunately, we were not taught to work with our nervous system, to be able to work through our emotions fully, you know? So the nervous system then is losing capacity. The nervous system then is constantly on fight and flight and survival mode at different levels, at different times of the day, at different moments in our lives. But there is that background, always that background survival mode that can get quickly triggered by the emotion, by the thought, by the external input, even by banging the knee on the table, then all of a sudden there's shoulder pain. Yeah? So things will travel to the points in the body that are already stressed, where the fascia is already compromised. And when I say compromised, not forever, but compromised at that moment, where there's already inflammation, where is already a pattern that we express tension. So when I had that shoulder forward because I was hiding my volume bust at the front, because I was a teenager and I didn't understand puberty enough to understand it was okay, all my fascia would get the tension, mainly shoulders and chest. So when I had asthma, I didn't have pain in the back, I had pain in the front, because the fascia was more stressed at the front. So those moments of illness will target these areas of tension as a general rule, because that's where the tension is concentrated at that moment, at that time. Okay, so it could be in different parts of the body, different times, or in different situations and different moments of your life. And this is where, how do we develop then chronic pain, right? Anything that you have long enough, whether low-grade background pain or intense pain, is chronic pain. It's chronic pain because it's been there long enough. It's chronic pain because it lives with you. It lives in your body. It reacts to everything that we do, that we think, that we perceive, that we feel. And pain patterns, I like to talk about pain patterns. We talked about body patterns, but I like to talk about pain patterns because there are many studies out there that can relate emotions being trapped in certain parts of the body. Of course, it doesn't fit all, because let's say if someone had a car accident and had multiple injuries to the body, yeah, those multiple injuries might rule out where the emotions get trapped. So, for example, emotion of abandonment issues, abandonment wounds. It will be targeted very deep in the lungs, very deep in the chest area, in the diaphragm. But let's say somebody has an accident and there's a lot of fractures in the legs, in the hips, in the arms. Perhaps those areas will take the majority of the pain every time there is a feeling of abandonment, because sometimes the injury can override, the trauma can override where the pain goes. But certain parts of the body will host the pain of an emotion. So understanding where in the body certain emotions go to, it's a nice way to understand your own pain, right? Because if you're going through a situation that is triggering a certain emotion and you realize, so we're talking about awareness, that you get triggered with that specific pain, you can then start to synchronize or create a pathway for your own pain. Because pain is understanding your own pathway, your own patterns, your own emotional beliefs, limiting beliefs, and how your body reacts to it. So your pain's coming to say, you are feeling an abandonment issue at this moment in this situation, and it's probably happened a long, long time ago, but your nervous system already recorded that. This is how you felt in a situation like this. And then today, there's another situation very similar that triggers the same emotion and will trigger the pain in the area. Maybe not immediately, perhaps even before you're about to feel the emotion, perhaps during, perhaps after. And when I say after, could even be weeks and months after. But understanding where emotions get trapped in your body is a good way of creating your own pathway. And then it brings you to that awareness of your pain patterns. Okay. Let's take a nice deep breath. Sometimes a lot of information can just overactivate the crown chakra. So let's soften the crown chakra a little bit. And if you take a nice breath into the head and breathe out. Another nice breath into the head. And a nice, gentle, long breath out as you are releasing tension, releasing information, releasing associations. Nice breath in into the heart. And gentle, long breath out, releasing, releasing, releasing. Last breath in into the tummy area. And releasing. Just give you a moment of silence. Now come down. So this is just for us to regulate when we are talking about the body, emotions, and I try not to bring too many examples because I don't want to trigger us too much. We're working through titration, so we're working with the steps. By the end of the call, we'll be going deep anyway, but in later steps. And even by connecting to the energy points in the body right now, you might not understand, but you are picking up a lot of information of all the things we already talked about. And hopefully that will come more clearly later on through the call, maybe later on. So it's a matter of understanding, believing that the energy centers are already working. We're not having an introduction to then get to it. It's already working. Okay. Okay. So pain doesn't necessarily mean damage. Of course, we can see a tissue damage like fracture, cuts, open wounds, and of course we have pain. Pain has a much deeper messages than that. Pain messages come from our emotion, our thoughts, how our nervous system is at that moment. And your nervous system is constantly asking the same question: am I safe? Okay. People that suffers with chronic pain at any intensity, any level, and are dealing with some level of fight and flight on the nervous system that is constant. It's a norm. It's a norm that for you to really look into it and go, am I in fight and flight? You're probably going to say no. Am I in survival mode? You're probably going to say no. But when that is the norm and we cannot remember the peacefulness and the calmness and the stillness of a nervous system, it's hard to jump pathways from one to another. Okay? And those are nervous system pathways that travels through the fascia, the skin, the muscles, skeleton. And remember, the muscles have the normal pathway and the abnormal pathway. And we can jump from one to another. How often we stay there and how much we can maintain ourselves in either pathway depends on the nervous system capacity. And what's your nervous system capacity to flip from one to another and to stay in one and regulate back to another, dysregulate back to that one, regulate back to another. Yeah. If you're a multilingual person, which I am, One thing I understand about speaking two languages is that even though I speak two languages, when I need to be in a place where I need to use both quite often and frequently, it takes me a few days of doing that to be able to flip from one to another. And then I can flip automatically. And I have the capacity to flip from one language to another. In the beginning, it's more like the language I've been speaking the most recently is the one that wants to come out. And I struggle to find the words to the language that I haven't been speaking very often. But as I keep switching back and forth, I find a balance, and then I can throw in each one when it needs. People will speak to me when I get to that point, the automatic flipping and balance and equilibrium of the two languages. It's quite interesting because when someone speaks to me in English, and then a second later someone speaks to me in Portuguese, I will not remember which language they spoke to me, and I will reply in the language they spoke to me automatically without thinking. It's all about understanding. And that's where the nervous system, how the nervous system works. This is the best example, perhaps even a metaphor I can find for you to understand how the nervous system works. So we need to increase the capacity of the nervous system to have that flipping over. If you spend too much time speaking one language, it's going to be hard to speak the other quickly enough. So if you spend a lot of time in the fight and flight, it's going to be hard for the nervous system to then regulate itself when it needs. And what do we do to increase the regulatory switch of the nervous system? Meditation, stillness, exercise, stretches, doing things that you love, speaking things that you love, speaking your truth regulates the nervous system, calming the mind, processing your emotions is a safe way to bring safety to your nervous system. So asking the deeper questions, asking the difficult questions brings you deeper into the regulatory system of the nervous system, and you increase the nervous system capacity to regulate when you become dysregulated. Does that make sense? Okay. So it's an incredible journey to be able to feel that your nervous system can spike in a situation. When that situation ends, it can then regulate itself down all by itself without you having to do it yourself manually or reminding yourself how to regulate. But you do need to build that capacity. And because we are in this norm that we don't know it's fight and flight, that we don't know is actually survival mode, if we're not finding those moments of stillness in the nervous system, we won't see the difference. It won't bring us the awareness when we're actually becoming dysregulated, because we need to go from somewhere to here to feel the difference. Yeah? If we always here, there's no difference. But if we can jump or gradually move, then we can feel and sense. And that's your fascia. That's your muscle tension. That's your thoughts, your head getting wired. That's your emotions charging. Those are the movements of the nervous system. But what are we going to do energetically here? If this is our nervous system like this. If this is our nervous system super heightened in fight and flight and survival mode, and this is our nervous system the most relaxed, calm, peaceful that you have ever been, okay? through our energy system, we can change the brain waves by working through the energy, change the brain waves to the waves that brings the calmness, and then we can then regulate ourselves down to the calm state. Even if it's a minute, even if it's 10 minutes. And every time you have that regulation, if your nervous systems go up, you will notice. And then you have a choice. Yeah, you have a choice to then, right, kind of bring it down. Of course, we live busy lives. But the more you practice, the more the nervous system does it itself. And I remember not long ago, one of the most amazing feeling I had was a situation charged up. It was intense. It was busy. My energy went up. My emotions went up. My thoughts went up. I had to think fast. I had to really spike myself into that very close to a fight and flight survival mode. And the situation finished. And I actually thought I must go just calm down a bit. But before I even thought that, I started to feel my nervous system coming down within 5-10 minutes of the situation ending itself, the external situation, not that I made it finish, not that I controlled to finish, not that I stimulated or manipulated to finish. The situation ended organically. My nervous system started to come down. And I sat in the sofa and I thought, that's regulated. I feel regulated. And it was that first moment that I realized what my nervous system was doing automatically. Yeah. Kids have that regulation until they don't, for whatever reason. Okay. But that's that remembrance. Your nervous system will remember that regulation. So it's about practice. Okay. So breathing, gentle movement, stillness, stretching, exercise, sometimes even vigorous exercise can bring some regulation. You learn what works for you by trying. I don't have a recipe for how to regulate your nervous system. It's about trial and awareness of what it feels like, writing down, making notes. This is how you understand. This is how you create your own pathway. A long time ago, about a few years ago, I had a workshop called The Healing Pathway to Pain. And in that workshop, we worked out through questioning again, how to understand the pain and how to understand the things that trigger pain. And it's funnily enough, because today we are talking about the things that actually bring the pain into a more regulated state, because the nervous system is regulated. So it's a good evolution of, right, can I understand my pain, but now can I understand how to reduce and ease my pain? So it's quite an interesting journey there. It's quite a few years. And I went through that journey myself. Yeah, I went through the journey myself of having pain, of having chronic pain, of having fibromyalgia. And everything was a trial, because I needed to understand if I was to regulate myself through breathing, how does my body feel? If I regulate myself through stretching, how does my body feel? And today, I can feel my body and go, okay, I think I need to regulate through breathing. Another time, I know I need to regulate through stretching. Another time, I know I need to regulate through exercise or sleeping. So it's a trial. It's only a trial. I think just bringing the understanding helps you step into some attempts of trying to feel how your body changes from one activity to another. Okay, I think I was wondering if there's any questions before we go to the meditation, and I'm happy to answer. So I'll leave it open for anyone that would like to ask any questions. So let's get ready for this meditation. And I'm going to call it a meditative state because I would like to explain about the chakras, why you are listening in a different wavelength in your brain. And I'm going to bring you into that meditative state. And for each chakra, I just want you to focus, put your awareness on your physical body in that point of that chakra. And any sensations that comes and goes in that area, allow it to be there. Don't manipulate, don't change. The energy will be working as it needs. Your higher self, your whole self will be working for you. There's nothing I can put upon you. There's nothing I can bring upon you. I can only guide you to find those feelings, to find the energy and sense it. So let's take a nice breath. Bring ourselves to a moment of silence and focus on the breath in, focus on the breath out. Let's regulate the breath slowly and gradually. Notice your body. Notice your skin. And if you do a gentle body scan where you focus on the top of your head and slowly and gradually move down the body. Just taking note of your physical body, the position that you are. How can you relax the muscles in the shoulder, the neck, chest? Rest the arms, relax them, drop the shoulders. Relax pelvis, just your posture to help you feel more at ease in your position. Relax the legs, soften the muscles at the thigh, back. Allow the floor to support your body and the furniture you're in to support your body. I'm going to do gentle and soft, slow breath in, nothing too strenuous. And slow and gentle, soft breath out. You're here working with the nervous system. We're working with calming the mind. And we're working with the energy body. As you feel more at ease and relaxed, you're going to focus at the top of the head, the crown chakra. All the area at the top of your brain, the skull, the forehead, back of the head. Allow any sensation to be there, to move, to flow. The crown is where we become hypervigilant, mental overload, constant analyzing. It makes it difficult to sense the body. So here, the crown chakra, I want you to focus on the right hemisphere of the brain. Give it attention, give it focus. And transfer the focus to the left hemisphere of the brain. Notice the changes in how it feels, the sensation, the movement, the flow. This is what we feel, the awareness of the nervous system change, pain change, emotions, thoughts. Bring the awareness. It's a skill, it's a tool to bring you clarity. And in a very short answer, in the moment of stillness after the question, let any thoughts, images, feelings, sensations to appear without digging for an answer. What are you constantly trying to figure it out because you believe you will only be safe once you have the answer? Why do you feel safe knowing, figuring out, understanding, analyzing? How unsafe would you feel if you didn't try to figure it out? You're noticing, you're not solving. From the crown now, bring your awareness to the third eye, between the brow, the white browns, and center the base of your brain, center of your head. Imagine a little dot in the center of your head, illuminating the back of your forehead between your eyebrows, like a flashlight. Focus there and allow the sensations, anything that you sense between the ears, nose cavity, teeth, eyes. Let it be there. Any gradual sudden pain, be assured this pain is a message, not damage or injury. This is where we perceive sensations, meaning, and even threat. A threat that we're not yet to see. Intuition that we're not yet to feel. And the story about this sensation comes after. This is a powerful portal of your intuition, of knowing what's right for you. And your pain works with this portal to bring you messages from your subconscious, from the ground, from your intuition, from your higher self. This pain today, what does it mean to you right now? Is it harming you? Is it keeping you safe? And what from? Or is it harming you from? Or is it keeping you safe from? What if the meaning you have given your thing is creating more fear than the sensation of pain itself? What if the meaning of pain is creating a limiting belief? What if the meaning of pain, the story behind the pain, is creating a limiting belief? Back to your breath, breathing slowly, gently, long breath in, long breath out. Feel the breath traveling through your body all the time, every now and then. And feel everything through your body. And then we navigate from the third eye to the throat area, to the front of the neck, back of the neck. The jaw, line, mouth, teeth, voice, your expression. Not just how your voice sounds, but the truth you express through speaking. For the shoulders, neck brings emotions of control, controlling ourselves, controlling the environment, even the control of others. Do we behave in a certain way to avoid others behaving in a certain way so it doesn't feel hurtful or unsafe? Neck holds how we control what we need to control to feel safe. It links back to your truth, because in that control, we go without speaking. We go with strong boundaries or no boundaries at all. We hold back or we push forward. Saying yes when you mean no. Those are your truth. Are you speaking those truths? And if we need to control to be able to say yes, only no, or say no when we mean yes. We're not speaking our truth. We're creating tension in that energetic focus. Physical body. Muscles, fascia, nervous system. What are you not saying? Because you believe there will be a consequence if you do. From the simple being invited to a party and going because you feel expected to be there, or admitting to yourself that you are happy or sad or angry. What's wrong with admitting that we are angry? What are we angry with? Or who are we angry with? Those are you speaking the truth, expressing the truth, letting the truth out for you. Expression is not confrontation. It's not projection onto others. It's the ability to speak out loud to yourself, for your whole self to hear through the frequency of your voice, for your tissue to hear, your fascia to hear, your nervous system to hear. Your nervous system doesn't want to listen to anyone else anymore. It wants to listen to you. It's ready to listen to you. Expression is a simple no, is a simple I need help. I can't cope with it. I feel overwhelmed. Or even expressing happiness. Feel the changes in your throat, in your neck, in your chest. On the next breath in, invite you to come down into the center of your heart, your chest, the center of your lungs. There's a point of energy there. You'll find it. With each breath, can you expand this point? You then feel the entire cavity of your lungs, your rib cage. From side to side, front to front, front to back. This is where you protected yourself from harm, from survival, from flight and fight, even from love that was conditional, that was harsh, that was difficult. This is where you protected your heart and you did the best job in the world. Or if you're here, you've been questioning about your pain, you've been questioning about your life, and you are ready to break through the shell that you created to protect your heart. You're ready to feel the truth. This is where self-sacrifice comes through giving, overgiving. or even receiving, over receiving to compensate. Where we carry others before we carry ourselves. Where we take on over responsibility before someone can show us how they can be responsible for us. The difficulty of receiving or giving. This is all emotional protection. We should be free to give without questioning, without wondering, without judging, without waiting, without expecting. We should be able to receive in the same way. Can we break the shell, layer by layer, letter by letter, safety by safety? If you no longer needed to carry anyone else, only carry yourself. What part of you would have to stop being? There's a version of you that needs to be a version of you to carry everyone. And there's a version of you that doesn't have to carry anyone, only yourself. Can you visualize those two versions? What's the gap between those two versions that your subconscious bring you up? Go to the version that carries everyone else and sense that version. Is it heavy? Is it small? Is it big? What does it feel like? And now switch to the version that doesn't need to carry anyone. How does that version feel? You bring in your body awareness. So you recognize an everyday moment when you're feeling free or when you're feeling limited, conditioned to carry others. And that awareness will come to show you in that moment through these feelings that you're about to enter a situation that you will be carrying others, and then you have a choice. And this is what this meditation brings, this sense of awareness. When we heighten our awareness to sense these moments, and from that version that's carrying everyone, now go to a version that is receiving everything from everyone. Love, attention, nurturing, friendship. Money. How does that version feel receiving? Does it feel easy? Does it feel heavy? If you feel heavy, would you like to understand the next time you receive that if you feel heavy, that you have a choice to say I receive, even when you feel heavy, to overcome this heaviness, to rewrite the dysfunction on receiving. We try to have that choice. And now we go to our solar plexus, just above the belly button. Sometimes you can feel warm, like that English sun. This is your identity. This is your voice. This is the doing, regardless. The achieving, regardless. The controlling, the safety. The proving, to feel enough. The overproductivity, to deliver. How would it look if you feel a bit more balanced in your identity and you would do just enough for the highest good of you, for the highest good of others. You would achieve for your own purpose. You would feel free to move and flow and decide and be. And who are you? You don't have to prove that you are enough. You don't have to achieve, be right. How does it feel to be enough? How can you just be happy? How can you just be you? And if we move down to the sacrum, which is just below the belly button, reproduction, organs, uterus, the basin, your pelvis, lower back, bladder. This is where we flow with pleasure, deep emotions, but also a way to adapt. Emotions have different thresholds, different levels. This is what allows us to be vulnerable, but also to adapt. We all can feel the emotion of anger, but they will be at different levels for different moments, for different times, different reasons. We can adapt to feel anger more internally. We can adapt to feel angry more externally. This is our source when we adapt how we feel emotions deeply, superficially. Every body movement that we do goes through the pelvis, through the spine. This is a creativity, the source of our soul. When we have pain in this area, avoidance of movement comes through for protection, makes us a body language more stiff, restricted, interferes with our expression, our body language, body movement, body expression. A way to move forward for ourselves rather than just moving and pushing through. We're here, we're feeling, we're sensing, we're rebalancing. What have you stopped doing that you loved a lot in the past? What have you stopped enjoying? What have you made your mind about not being safe anymore? That is a limiting belief. Limiting beliefs can be broken, can be dismantled. So they mean nothing to us, so we are bigger than it. When we are bigger than it, it disappears. Dissolves, it gives us a reason and a choice to be something else. Or have you stopped allowing yourself to experience because you decided it wasn't safe? Is it to love? Is it to change careers? Is it to hold a relationship? Is it your health? Does it feel safe to move with the pain that you experience now? And the root is our space, the safety and groundings. So the base of your spine, at the base of your genitals, focus deep down. This is where survival responses come from and merge into the nervous system, into the fascia, into the muscles, emotions, and thoughts. This is a fight, flight, freeze, or survival. Are you living from protection, or are you living from choice? What would you choose differently if your body no longer believed it had to survive? How would your body feel right now? What does freedom feel for you right now? Can you switch from survival version of yourself to the freedom version of yourself? Safety is the ability to feel your emotions, process it all the way to the final stage without going into protection. So every time you find yourself in a situation and you sense your body changing texture, changing sensation, tightening up, getting heavy, getting slower, getting tired. All those are signs that your body is going into a resistant mode because it's not happy to navigate where you're about to navigate. And I'm going to include pain in that list. That is your moment of awareness to breathe and create a perception of what it is. Sometimes you don't need words. Take a moment to breathe, receive with your senses. And then express that truth. Right now, I'm tired because I don't think I can cope to finish this task on time. That's the truth. Speak that truth with your words, with your voice, with your own frequency. Allow your nervous system to hear that safety. You'll be receiving safety through that. And then clarity will come when you have a choice. You choose to and honor what your body's asking of you. And find your worth, your new level of worth. But if you don't have the awareness, you keep going through repeating the pattern. The nervous system is repeating the pattern for you. There's no different result. The same thing in a similar situation. So now through this meditation, you have given your body awareness. You understand the signs, sensations in your body, and parts of your body that's telling you to stop, perceive, express, receive the clarity, and make a choice to understand another layer of your own worth. Nice deep breath, slow and gentle into your body. And slow and gentle now. Follow this cycle for a couple of times more. Go into your heart and breathe into your heart. Expend the energy in your heart. You're safe to feel. And the only question that we're going to journal in the next few minutes is, if your pain didn't get to decide what was possible for you anymore, what would you choose to do or be? Or even not do? Nice deep breath in through your body. Bring this beautiful breath into your body, the whole body. And release, let go, allow. And if you're ready to come around, you're journaling just the one question. If your pain didn't get to decide what was possible for you anymore, what would you choose to happen, not happen, be, not be in this moment? I hope you have enjoyed this meditation. You will notice that perhaps you feel a little bit heavy or uncomfortable. And I want you to sit with this. I want you to lie down and breathe with it. Don't ask any questions, just breathe, and then it will settle, it will go away, it will ease. And this is because what happened is, now imagine two people, okay? There's one person that is picking up that there are repetitive patterns happening in their lives, and they're questioning, why is this happening? Every time this happens, this happens. But the person cannot feel any emotion or any sensations. You have this person who can notice some emotions about a certain situation that keeps happening all the time, but not able to work through it yet, not able to define, not able to give it a name to the emotion, not able to give a name to the sensation in the body. If we're talking about pain, pain is one of those awareness moments, okay? This meditation has opened up a little bit of your awareness capacity to pick up these emotions, sensations, and pain in the body a little bit sooner. Perhaps even before the situation happens, right? Because your higher self is always there ahead of us. And your subconscious is always there prepared as well to give us this information. So you, on your day-to-day basis, you're going to pick up these emotions. And because you have their awareness, you have that choice. And the choice is, okay, something's happening and I'm noticing I'm feeling this way. If you don't have time right now, you have to deal with the situation later on. You'll be able to recall that situation, which then recalls the sensation and the nervous system and the fascia and the pain and everything. And then you can work through it by sensing, sitting with it, breathing with it, just breathing with it, nothing more, breathing with it. Okay. And this is where those people that are doing the work, the self-growth, the personal development, asking difficult questions, asking about their purpose, about their energy, about their pain, about their body, about their emotions, about their traumas. Those people doing the work. This can be such a great tool of awareness to understand what you're feeling in that situation, because that's what's going to bring the answer, the clarity, the understanding, and the solution, and the resolution, and the release, the love, the peace, the calmness, the stillness, the forgiveness. Yeah. And a Luma concept is where we navigate through those feelings in real time together, where we are guided, where we are supported. If you're not sure how to do it, this is where we do it together. So I invite you to have a look at the link below. And we are starting on September 11th, 2026. I am inviting 12 people to join the subscription. And through the subscription, in a period of 12 weeks, we're going to learn to process our emotions in this way. Okay? So once you learn how to process your emotions, to release, you become, of course, aware of new layers, of new patterns. But once you learn the process, you can do it yourself. You can continue to do it, continue to evolve, continue to elevate, continue to release. And this is where your pain starts to improve, because your pain is feeding on the limiting beliefs about this, about that, about the situation, about the trauma, about the inability to say no. And that's what the Illumine concept is. Looking at pain from all aspects of life, all aspects of self, and we do it together. We do it together. This is a sample workshop. I would break these down in different parts to make it a bit easier, but this is the whole thing in one workshop, one theme. There's several other themes that we can touch on, and each theme on here to really help us work through an emotion that rises during each theme. So we are working through the emotions together. Okay. Now, this is the bonus part. We talked about scar. We talked about fascia. We talked about scarring. And now I'm going to talk about scarring. I'm going to do a quick screen share, because I would like to show you just to make sure that you are fully aware. So there you go. So any scar that you carry in your body will go through the skin, the fascia, or even the muscle. And when it cuts through the fascia becomes entangled underneath. So even when the scar is healing and the stitches are healed and the scar is still healing, up to even decades later, you can still release the fascia underneath. When the fascia is entangled and stiff and stuck and congested, it sends information to muscles to either compensate, overreact, overtense, or even underreact and become less tense, which then changes the dynamic and the information that is given to all the muscles around the area. So if you look here at the knee, there's several muscles that go through that area, which then if one muscle gets targeted, all the other muscles around will have to change their patterns. So we talked about muscle patterns before. So the balance between a group of muscles becoming balanced. Yeah, so you start to then develop an abnormal movement. So it can be limping, it can be hitching, it can be leaning to one side more. This is a very large scar for a lower back. We're usually going to have a much smaller scar, and that can send quite a lot of information around into the glute area, into the paraspinal area, that perhaps the muscles don't need that information from entangled fascia. Okay, this is a scar itself, could be a knife wound, it could be any part of the body, but this is a hip replacement. So it's a very large scar. It can be anywhere between 10 to 15 centimeters long. Can you imagine the amount of information it's giving around the pelvis, around the hip, the glutes, the lower back, the muscles of the leg. So it's important to understand if our scar is entangled underneath. And the easiest way to find out an assessment is this, okay? If you have a scar, no matter how old it is, I want you to pick up the scar. So imagine the scar here. Okay. And that part of the scar is on the skin. And I want you to pick up the scar as you're picking up the skin. You know, when we do the hydration test, we pick up the skin like this. Can you pick up the skin that comes away from the muscle? Okay. If you can't do that, the scar is compromised. There's scar tissue underneath. Another test I would like you to do is if the scar line is like this, I want you to put your finger on the line of the scar, any part of the scar. It doesn't have to be the whole scar, it could be any part. And if you can create, see the line, this movement, see the line moving? That means the skin is loose, not attached to anything underneath. If you are trying to move and it doesn't move, the underneath is compromised with scar tissue. Okay, so that's a simple way to understand if your scar needs vectoring. And what is scar vectoring? Scar vectoring is the ability to pull the skin and stretch away from the area that is compromised. So if the fascia here and the skin here is stuck like that, and you cannot pull, you want to vector to the area that feels the most resistance and hold until it releases. When it releases, you would be able to manipulate the skin over the fascia like this, as this is showing. Okay. Some information here just for safety. We do not work with pain. When you are vectoring the scar, there's a feeling of pulling. There's no sharp pain. There is no burning pain. It should be on an area that you can touch the scar. You should never do it if you are on a crease of a body. So for example, if this crease had a scar, you wouldn't be vectoring, especially by yourself. Okay. It's gentle touch. You're not prodding. It's, imagine there's glue on the pad of your fingers and you just holding and you're staying in that spot that your finger landed. You're not gliding. You are staying there and mobilizing the skin. The movement should be slow like this, very slow. And you explore, you go cross movement, so up and down, then across, or you can go a circle and feel where the circle doesn't want to go, and that's where you stop. If you feel a sensation of pulling, if you don't feel a sensation of pulling, even though it doesn't move, you don't stay there. And you're not forcing, okay? So then what you do, you go to the direction of resistance that it doesn't want to move and you hold. Hold for no longer than 1 minute. Don't hold any longer because it's not going to make any changes. Scar tissue can stretch, and once it's stretched to its maximum, it might need to return, and then it can do another stretch. But we'd only do one session, 1 minute, once a week, because every scar tissue that is released is also releasing information that was given to the muscle before. And that muscle needs time to understand what's going on, because that can be a sudden change. If that scar tissue was given information to the quads, which is the front thigh muscles, to be overactive, and all of a sudden that information is gone, yeah, that creates, remember about muscle balance and muscle imbalance within the group of muscles that muscle needs to communicate with. Well, those muscles need time to readjust their attention. Yeah. So you only do 1 minute, one time, once a week. And when do you know you have done enough? Is when you can go round and there is no more resistance. Some scar will retain resistance, but remember, it's the sensation of pulling that should be there as a cue for you to then do the vectoring. Another understanding about scar vectoring is that if you're not sure, you don't do anything. You find a professional and you keep it that simple, okay? But it's a great way to release cesarean scars, scars to the knee, if it's not increased. And the scars to the places like neck and lower back, I would leave it to a professional. That involves quite a lot of muscles that is protecting the spine. And when we release tension or the muscle imbalance is disturbed, it could give you a flare-up of back pain. Yeah. So when I release anyone's lumbospinal cervical or neck area scar, I treat the muscle straight away. I look at the muscle balance and give it balance straight away. So this is why I have this word of caution and safety for you not to try beyond these limitations that I've explained. Okay. And then reassess the movement and see if it feels a little bit easier to move. So this is a little bonus, and we teach so much more in more details. We work together in real time in the Alumna Concept online portal. I would love you to give it a try, and we have 30 days free, so which that includes about, a weekly call plus the group community group. I look forward to seeing you soon in the next workshop, and thank you very much.